Maccabees is in the Apocrypha. It's in the 1611 King James Version Bible. Some Bibles today don't have it. Some Bibles still do. Nonetheless, it is considered historical text as well as factual data as well as biblical information. So we're going to use that today. First Maccabees chapter 1. Let's start off at verse 41.
Uh, this is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 41. And it reads, Moreover, King Antonius wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
So imagine the president or anyone that rules a set of people, right? He has dominion. He wrote a letter, a decree. Today we get breaking news. We get, social media. We get all the stuff we get when we hear what the president has decreed or some new law. So he wrote so that everybody should be one people, one nation under God, right? Come on, verse 42.
And if everyone should leave his laws, so all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
So everyone, so the heathen, that's one set of people that don't believe in Most High, they're not keeping his law, statutes, and commandments. They don't know him in a sense. All right, that's one set of people of the population. Go ahead, next verse.
Yeah, many also of the Israelites
Mm-hmm,
consented to his religion
mm-hmm.
and sacrificed unto idols.
They sacrifice onto
And
what?
idols.
Onto idols. So many Israelites also, see, that's a whole nother side. There's a separation. Israelites and heathens. Many of the Israelites consented to his religion. Go to the next verse.
And profaned the Sabbath.
Uh-huh.
For
Huh.
the king had sent for
Go
the
ahead.
king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, and they shall follow the strange laws of the land.
The strange laws of the land, the customs of the land, the strange laws of the land. These are foreign things. Keep all this in mind. Verse 45, read on.
Verse number 45. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
So they forbid the law now is they're stopping anyone from doing burnt offerings. That's your lamb, that's your oxen, this is how you was getting sins forgiven. They're stopping you from doing burnt offerings, sacrifices, drink offerings, all in the temple, as well as stopping the Sabbaths. The reason it's plural is because you got the holy Sabbath, seventh day of the Sabbath, and you have other Sabbaths that's listed in Leviticus 23, like Passover, unleavened bread, so on and so forth. And the festival days, right? Now it says
Mhm.
they stopped the burnt offerings. These were for the Most High. Jump to 47.
Verse number 47. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols and sacrifice swine's flesh
Mm.
and unclean beasts.
And so remember, this is in First Maccabees. This is highlighted. Watch. Stay with me if you can. They set up
Con.
altars and groves and chapels of idols and sacrifice what? There's no more burnt offerings like lambs and oxen. Now we're going to replace that with swine's flesh and
Mm.
unclean beasts. See the
Mm.
change? All right. 48, go ahead.
Verse number 48. That they should also leave their children uncircumcised
Mm-hmm.
and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation.
Con. So on the way to learning something, it says you can make your soul abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation. Right? So just put a pin in that. Verse 49, go ahead.
Mhm. To to the end they might forget the law.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And change all the ordinance.
Because once you teach your children this, and this is their way of life, when they get
Mhm.
children, they're going to teach their children a way of life, and so on and so forth.
Right.
Next thing you know, you got 2024 where the Sabbath is foreign. that to the point I lived for what 20 some years, was in the Christian church, was proclaiming God, and never heard the word Sabbath. Never knew that
Right.
there was a such thing as law. To the
Right.
end, they may forget the law and change all the ordinances. Go ahead, verse 50.
Verse number 50. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die.
Wow. Imagine that come back today. Go ahead.
Man. In the self same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city.
So remember, they can't do the regular holy sacrifices no more. They have to sacrifice swine's flesh. This is going to be key in this breakdown. Remember, up here, it says they couldn't sacrifice to the Most High no more. It was forbidden. But they're sacrificing swine's flesh and commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice. So what are they sacrificing? Swine's flesh, unclean food. Keep going. Read on.
Hey, Salakia, if I may, I
Mhm.
want to paint a picture to him. Just imagine, y'all knew formerly President Donald Trump to say the fact that, hey, you know what? I don't want y'all to follow the ways of the Bible. I want y'all to actually do these practices that the brother have been bringing out. That's what he means to say. Imagine if they bring back this in today's time.
Yes.
Imagine that. How many people will stand 10 toes down for the Lord or follow the laws of this world? That's what I want. I want them to picture that. So go
Con.
ahead. Where I'm at, King.
Con. Anytime I could definitely have the authority to do that. Anytime. Jump in. We're,
Con, King.
we're at verse 52. Now, this is
All
also
right,
key in this breakdown. Go ahead.
verse number 52. Then many of the people were gathered unto them
So
to
think of
wit.
so many of the people were gathered. Remember, it's a sacrifice. This is public. Many other people were gathered onto them. Go ahead.
Shalakia from the top. Verse number 52 again.
Yes, sir.
That's where I'm at. Then many of the people were gathered unto them to wit, every one that forsook the law. And so they committed evils in the land.
Uh-huh. All right, go ahead and jump down to 54. Here's another key point. Go ahead.
Verse number 54. Now the 15th day of the month of Caslu,
Mm-hmm.
the 145th year, they
Mm-hmm.
set up the abomination of desolations upon the altar and built idols altars throughout the cities of Judah and on every side.
Con. The key thing, the month Keslu. Now, for some reason, some made me say, when is the month of Keslu? All right.
Mhm.
When is the month Keslu according to AI overview on the left side? Keslev,
Wow.
also known as Cheslev, is the ninth month of the Jewish calendar. Guess when it falls? November and December of the Gregorian calendar. If you never heard the word Gregorian, that's the calendar we use today. So
Wow.
Keslu would estimation would fall between what we call November and December. Very key. Look at when they're doing this. It's in the month of Keslu. The 15th day is when they set up the altar, right? Calm.
Mhm.
Now jump down to 59.
Con. Verse number 59, and it reads, Now the 5th and 12th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God. Wow.
Calm. Now gotta read this. 5 and 20th. 25th. The 25th day of when? Keslu.
Oh yeah, that's
December
crazy.
25th.
That's crazy, that is crazy. Hey, the Bible's so real. Say it for him one more time, man, for the people in the back, man.
God. So we got the month Keslu up here, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
when this is taking place. Before any of us was born, before Christ came into the earth, the 145th year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Keslu. When is Keslu according to AI? Between
Mm-hmm.
November and December of 2024. This happened on the 25th day of the month Keslu.
That's
Sounds
crazy.
like December 25th. They
That's right.
sacrificed. Now, what did they do on the 25th day? Sacrifice swine's flesh upon the idol's altar. So they took the Most High away, his altar, put up a different God there, and they sacrificed swine's flesh instead of lamb. You know, the lamb that was slain for us, the oxen, all the clean things the Most High did. They switched the religion. They switched the ordinance of the Most High on the 25th day. Now check this out. Matter of fact, before we go there, let's finish reading. Let's get some more. But
Con.
put a pin in that. Verse 60. Go ahead. No, not even 60. Jump over to 62 and 63. That's it.
Con. Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing.
See, now that
Where
even more confirms what were they sacrificing on the idol's altar? Swine's flesh, a thing deemed unclean by the Most High, Leviticus 11. Verse 40,
Mhm.
63. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say this for maybe some people that coming in that may don't know what
Oh,
swine
yeah.
flesh is.
Yes.
That is pig. That is your pork bacon. That is your pork chops. That is your ribs. That is your sausage. That is your pepperoni. Need I say more? But hey, the Bible is saying this because nowadays our people make that a delicacy.
Hey,
All right, back
that's
to the
your
verse, King.
that's your Thanksgiving ham.
Oh,
Yeah.
how can I forget that? How can I forget that? That's
hmm
that ham,
Yep.
man,
That's your this Christmas we having a seafood boil with crab legs.
man,
hmm That
man,
that's
man.
your chitlins. Oh yeah, who's bringing the chitlins to Christmas dinner? Yeah, uh-huh.
Wow,
Unclean things
wow,
where? On the altar of God. What do people say Christmas is for? Who's the reason for the season? So you're taking
man.
his altar and switching it. Hey man. Verse 63, go ahead.
And, and so like, and then pray over it.
Then pray over.
Then you know how y'all hold hands and go around the whole table and say what you're thankful for the holiday is, what you're thankful for the joint is. You're praying over it
Yep.
on his altar.
And then what is that? Sacrifice of thanksgiving, right?
Mm,
Sacrifice and praise. What do you think they was doing at the altar? When they was crying and sad about their sins and they're giving up these lambs and they're giving up things to try to get their sins cleared. You think they wasn't praying and thanking and dancing and jugging just like everybody do now today? So you took the altar of God and now it's switched with idols altars. You see what I'm saying? On the
mm.
25th day, come on, verse 63, man.
All right. Wherefore they choose rather, I got to read that together. Verse number 62. Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. Wherefore they choose rather to die that they might not be defiled with meats
Mm,
and that they may not profane the holy covenant. So
mhm.
then they died.
What? Christ said, you better count the cost. You following me, man. So now,
Man.
portals to the past. According to this, we're going to use this for information. Somebody so-called they're proclaiming to have, done the research and they got some information about the past. So the title is, What's So Special About the 25th of December? You got to start asking questions. And matter of fact, before we read
Uh,
this, Sirach 5 and 15. This is why you got to start asking questions. Read on now.
be not ignorant of anything,
Mhm.
and in a great matter or a small.
Last week we said, the book said, with all thy getting, get understanding.
Understanding.
I understand it now. What's so
All
special
praises.
about the 25th of December? Well, that's easy to answer. It's Christmas, birth of Yahushua, or who the word calls Jesus. Three wise men and shepherds, presents, trees, drinks, and dinner. What? Yes, but why the 25th of December? Trickier to answer, eh? Well, yes, because there's no mention of the 25th of December in the Bible at all. Oh, you didn't know that.
Strike one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So where did the 25th of December come from then? Right? So here's some theologians' understanding. It says, well, first of all, could Yasha have been born on that day? Most scholars agree that it is unlikely. In the Gospel of Luke, the shepherds are mentioned watching over their flocks at night. This is so considered highly unlikely as they will have kept them under cover in the freezing cold winter if it was December 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the Bible places Joseph and Mary in Bethlehem for the Roman census. So, you know, like, back, I haven't seen it in a long time, but they used to come door to door and they would ask you how many people live in your house. And, that's how we
Mm-hmm.
would get what the population is. So the Romans pretty much did kind of the same thing. Also, like taxes, how many people are in your
Right.
home, how much you make, what's your, what do you own, all those type of things. That's the Roman census, right? And we know we have a tax season in historical. If 2050, they could look back in 2024 and be like, oh, this was their tax season. Joseph and Mary in Bethlehem for the Roman census, but any census in the Roman Empire was never done in the winter because of the cold and the terrible state of the roads. See?
Mm.
So there was no Roman census. So therefore, they're trying to say that Christ couldn't have been born on December 25th. So where did it come from then? Almost certainly from what? Existing pagan celebrations. You never heard the
Strike
word
two.
pagan? Pagan is a heathen who left their laws. The heathen, right? They
Right.
don't know. They don't know the Most High. Heathens, infidel, idolater, idolatrous, atheists. They do not believe in the Most High. That is a pagan. So, atheist celebrations, the winter solstice, shortest day, had always been celebrated by primitive people as the beginning of hope for the arrival of spring. This continued into classical times. The Romans celebrated the festival of Saturnalia between when? The 17th and 25th of December. When did this happen in the book? The 25th day of the month, Keslu. See this? It paid tribute to the Most High? No. It paid tribute to Saturn, the god of agriculture and harvest. There were what? Sacrifices. You see this?
Mm-hmm.
Sacrifices. What did the book say was happening? Sacrifices of swine's flesh. Hmm. Banquets. That's your Christmas, Thanksgiving parties. That's your gatherings. That's your dinners.
Mm-hmm.
What else was happening? Gift giving and partying. That's your office Christmas party. Even the so-called barbarian tribes of Europe
Right.
celebrated with midwinter festivals. I wonder if they're talking about the Israelites right there, the ones that consented to the new religion.
Oh
However,
wow.
this became firmed up with the arrival of a what? New religion emerging in the Roman Empire from the first century CE onwards. So it said, okay, so did the 25th of December come from Christianity? No. The sun god Mithra had been worshipped in Persia from about the 6th century BCE. The Greeks adapted the name to Mithras, and experts believe that Roman soldiers picked it up on the campaigns in Persia. It became a hugely popular mystery religion across the whole empire. It was celebrated almost exclusively by men who were soldiers. This, of course, explains why it never thrived totally unlike Christianity. It became associated with the Roman worship of the sun, Sun. And in 274 CE, the Emperor Aurelian established the birth of Sol Invictus, unconquered sun, on when? 25th of December. When the Emperor Constantine the Great converted to Christianity in the early 4th century CE, he had tried to convert an empire full of pagans, atheists. The decision to celebrate the birth of Yasha on a date that was already sacred in pagan atheist traditions made perfect sense to him. It was therefore decided that the birthday of the sun god, S-U-N, would also be the birthday of the Son of God. Okay? Now check this out. It says holly. That word comes from sacred plant of Saturn. So these are all the things associated with Christmas. Mistletoe is a sacred plant of Celts and Norse. Those are also atheists or heathens. Ivy, a sacred plant of Bacchus, the god of wine and revelry. All this stuff is linked heavily in paganism, bro. Reefs.
Mm.
So when people put up reefs, it's a Roman sign of victory. Odin, a pagan god with white beard and flowing robes. Wassail, whatever that is, Saxon for good health said when they drank a virgin of mulled wine. Carols. So remember in the video, he said, sing me a song. Christmas carols, as they call them, were sung also at the winter solstice festivals. All this is being said that what? It was linked with paganism. First Maccabees is also revealing that this was linked to paganism. All right, there's more. Saturnalia was a Roman festival that took place from December 17th to December 23rd and celebrated the god of the harvest, Saturn. Saturnalia was a time of merrymaking, gift giving, role reversals. Some traditions included what? Ah, look at this. Sacrificing
Sacrificing
a
again.
pig at the temple of Saturn.
So for those that might be keeping Christmas, like, you know what I'm saying, like, have you ever asked yourself, like, where do all this stuff like come from? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you have to get the mistletoe? You know what I'm saying? Why do you have to get the other things that the brother was just saying that, you know what I mean, that is a tradition that you must have. I mean, it's right here. I mean, right here. Just ask yourself, you know what I'm saying? Since you was a little kid, why did you have to get certain things like that? You know what I'm saying? Or even when you go to Thanksgiving, why do you have to get the turkey, the cranberry sauce? Like this stuff, all this stuff means something.
Yep.
That's why when the brother just brought out the precept, pretty much asks a question, whether it's a small matter or a big matter, to get understanding instead of just going with the flow. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, King. Finish your breakdown. My bad. Salakia.
No, no, that's good. Thank you. So
Time.
back up here, Maccabees, they had to do away with the offerings that meant something. Like today, we love the fact that Christ is the what? Unblemished lamb. So when we was
Mhm.
given lamb, this was what? This meant something. It was foreshadowing something. It wasn't just for naught. So it's the same thing when these people do their religions and they're doing their things, there's a reason behind it. This is symbolic
Right.
for something like the ox said about the ham and the cranberry. There's specific things that are known and linked to that tradition. So here it is. Maccabees said that they were sacrificing swine's flesh for idols. All right, the worship of other gods, and they wanted God's people to join into this. It's the same thing today. They've given these things and they want God's people to join into this. They were sacrificing pigs at the temple of Saturn, eating at a public feast. That's why I said it was very important to pay attention that many of the people were gathered onto them. Public feast. What else? Exchanging gifts. What kind of gifts? Fruit, candles, exotic pets, toys, and
Mm.
sweets. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. Saturnalia,
Crazy.
a what? Mid-winter festival. When is Christmas and Thanksgiving? Mid-winter festivals that celebrated the days getting longer after the winter solstice. It was what? One of the most popular celebrations in the Roman calendar. Influence on Christmas. Some traditions from Saturnalia are thought to have influenced the Christmas holiday. For example, gift giving is a tradition that continues in what? All cultures. You don't even have to be a Christian and celebrate Christmas. There's atheists that
Right.
celebrate Christmas. That celebrate Christmas. Now that links right back to this over here in Maccabees, where it says the heathen agree, and many also of the Israelites. So even today, the heathens and so-called Christians celebrate what? The same Christmas holiday. Now, Jeremiah 10, 2 through 4. You know it.
I already know. Let's get it. Thus saith the Most High,
Hmm?
learn not the ways of the heathen.
Well, hold on. What did the Lord say?
Learn not the way of the heathen,
Learn not the way of the heathen. Go ahead.
and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven,
Tom.
for the heathen are dismayed at them.
Signs of heaven. Heaven is the sky, right? Saturn is supposed to be where? The so-called planet is where? In the sky. Who is this God for? Who is Saturnalia for? The God of the harvest, Saturn. It's crazy that that's a planet too, right? Satan
Right,
said, I will set my stars above the kingdom of heaven. Oh, or above God, didn't he? So when you are introduced into school, what do they make everybody do usually in elementary school? The solar system. So you can reverence and
right.
respect
Yeah,
these gods, right? Over here, it says what? It was something else about the Son of God right here. So it
yeah.
says the birthday of the Son God. Be dismayed and not the stars and the things in heaven, because why? The heathens reverence and respect. They worship things like the sun, the moon, astrology. They worship things like freaking zodiac signs. They respect these things and take these things as truth and fact, and they try to learn from them and glean from them. The Most High said, do not do this. Also, so-called Christmas. What's supposed to fly through the sky? What they say happened on Christmas night to the little kids, man?
You kept talking about Santa and them reindeers.
Santa and the reindeers. Verse
Mhm.
3, go ahead, huh?
For the customs of the people are vain.
Mm-hmm. What they
For
do and they
one,
what do they do in their customs, huh?
for one cutteth a tree out of the forest,
Mm.
the work of the hands of the workman with the axe.
Now I believe this scripture specifically is manifold. But in this one, we're gonna use this for Christmas. They cut a tree. I think we actually had a video one time where they was actually literally cutting the tree to bring it into a house and to deck it with silver and gold. Verse 4.
They deck it with silver and
Mm-hmm.
with gold.
Mm-hmm.
They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not.
Do you see the Christmas tree?
Hey, do me a favor, when I break down that verse, I like to go to Google because they always some people will say, "Well, that's your interpretation, that's your understanding." Well, let's see what Google say when we pull up this precept and verse, what they related to, and then can you click images for me, when you bring up the Jeremiah 10:2, King?
I put Jeremiah 2 through 4. There it
Uh,
is.
wow, what do you know? What do you know? When
Mm-hmm.
we just search Jeremiah 10, chapter 2 through 4, what pops up? A Christmas tree. It's plain upon table that the Lord says, do not do this. That's y'all interpretation. Well, let's just Google search it then. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. So
Yep.
that's what I be like, yo, like the brother started off with the oh man, look at the scared tree worship. You're bowing down, you're sacrificing gifts to that tree. You're decking it with silver and gold. I mean, you can't run from that scripture. Your pastor can't get away from that. I want y'all to understand that. Stop being bewizzled, you know what I'm saying? Stop being tricked, you know what I mean? Just going with the tradition. I really want you to go to church, man, and look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, we ain't supposed to be keeping Christmas. And bring up Jeremiah 10:2 through 4. What it's playing upon table. I yield, King.
Uh, I got one more. Colossians 2 and 8,
Con,
man.
King. Con. This is the mighty book of Colossians, chapter 2 and verse 8. Do me a favor, Baba Kashak. Can you bring it up a little bit, King?
Yes, sir.
There we go. Con. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit,
Mhm.
After the tradition of men.
So what?
The tradition of men.
So where this come from? The tradition of men. Beware, at least they spoil you through the tradition of men. Go ahead.
After the rudiments of the world,
Uh-huh.
and not after Christ.
So
Beautiful
Christ is
precept.
Christ is one that says, thou shalt not covet. You know what I'm saying? Thou shalt be appreciative and content. How many people, because of the tradition of Christmas, is not content and they're covetous once they receive their gifts through this tradition?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? My brother bro, we had a whole video last year, I believe, where a brother killed his sister
Oh yeah. I remember that.
because
Yep,
he,
I
he was
remember that.
mad that his brother got more. I think his sister tried to
Hmm.
calm him down, and next thing you know, she was unalived. Through
Wow.
the tradition of Christmas, the rudiments of the world. Christmas brings about a spirit. So, people are like, oh, they got that Christmas spirit. You're in the spirit. You got, what is it? Is that the word? That's the
What
spirit.
Christmas spirit? Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
You got
yeah.
Christmas
Yeah, that's the
spirit.
spirit.
You got the Christmas sweater on. You feeling all Christmassy.
Right,
What kind of,
right.
is that the spirit of Christ? When you look at the works of the flesh versus the spirit of Christ, does Christmas bring the spirit of Christ in you? Nah. Beware, least any man spoil you through that. It ain't just gotta be Christmas. It can be anything. They forgot the anniversary, so now he gotta sleep in the doghouse. Hold on. The scriptures say that y'all should not be separated at all. But because he forgot the tradition that's been set up by men, now you're gonna go against the scripture of the most high? And he telling his boys the next day at work, I was sleeping in the doghouse. I forgot her freaking, I forgot her birthday. I forgot it was Valentine's Day. See?
That's
Beware,
crazy.
least you be spoiled through the tradition of men, man.